I am California of the past.
I am California of the past.
I am California of the past.
My name is Ward McComas, Turney. I was born in Pomona in 1912 in a house at 552 North Gordon. My grandfather was Senator Joseph E. McComas, who came to Pomona in 1875 as a land agent. The first home that he built in Pomona was at 5th and Main Streets. The land agent deal ran into a considerable amount of trouble due to lack of water, so grandfather left Pomona and went down to Compton. Conditions were so bad in Compton health-wise that he went to Tombstone, Arizona, where my grandmother, Emma McComas, taught school. The judge practiced law, also sold bottled water. The bandits used to come to town and shoot up the town, and Mrs. McComas would have to get her students to lay under the desk in order not to get hit with the bullets flying through the schoolroom. Her health improved, so they returned to this area, because it was in 1885 that they built a home at Main and Holt on 20 acres of peaches and various fruit trees. The judge was quite an unusual man, 6'3", black bushy eyebrows, Irish, and a terrific temper, mostly genial and easygoing. He was but when infuriated, I doubt that there was any man that would stand up to him. He was one of the first believers in woman suffrage. He gave his wife independent money, and she became quite a brilliant businesswoman, developing quite a sum of money in her own name at a time when it was quite rare when women even owned property. He built the first brick block building in the city of Pomona at the corner of Main and 2nd, which has been known for years as the McComas Building. In the early days, Pomona was widely known as a city of population of 500 with 17 saloons. Ladies going to church on Sunday would have to step over the drunks that were thrown out in the street on Saturday night before. Consequently, my grandmother and the judge became quite ardent prohibitionists. The judge is also known as the man who built the first church in the city of Pomona and rang the bell personally that called the first group of people to service in this city. In 1888, he was elected state senator on the Republican ticket. He did found Orange County, which was a split off of Los Angeles County, and he raised the age of consent from 10 years of age to 14. He introduced the first bill in the state of California for women's suffrage. For the balance of his life, the senator was president of the prohibitionist group here and ran for governor on the prohibitionist ticket, which wasn't too popular at that time. While he was senator, he made quite an attempt to found a county composed of Pomona, Chino, Ontario, what is now Claremont, and Laverne, making this tail end, you might say, of Los Angeles County, the forgotten tail end, and also the extreme end of San Bernardino County into a separate county. He was told if he could raise $50,000 in gold, this would be accomplished. He didn't quite achieve the amount of money and was highly incensed at the rottenness of the state capitol at that time, when the money exchange was openly conducted and you brought in a certain amount of bribe to have anything done. To illustrate the dirtiness of politics from early days to present, the judge was a very staunch prohibitionist, and he upset many a saloon keeper and many a drinker. And from the early history that we have here of 500 inhabitants and 17 saloons, most of the late descendants must have been the descendants of either saloon keepers or drunkards. So in order to get even with the judge and his closing of saloons, and he actually did put in the city charter a prohibitionist act prohibiting the sale of liquor in Pomona, the story went around and around and around that the judge was quite a prohibitionist outwardly, but that he had a magnificent cellar in his basement. And knowing my grandmother and her attitude on liquor, I can assure you that this is one of the wildest pieces of fiction I'd ever heard. But even recently, I've had old-timers drop in the office and say, boy, that judge, we certainly heard that he had the finest wines in the country. I know that if he'd even had a drop of in the house, my grandmother would have chased him out of the room. Many of Pomona's old families lived very close to the judge's home. On the northeast corner of Main and Holt was the Dole family. On the southeast corner was the Armour family, which one of the boys has written quite a book or two about the corner drugstore. And across the street with two very tall palms was the Pitcher home. Might be interesting to note that this house that was torn down was cost $7,500, had 5 fireplaces, 7 bathrooms, and downstairs it was pegged, quarter-sawed oak throughout, matching grain. Today we couldn't even touch that kind of kiln-dried lumber that went into that home. It gave me quite a little nostalgia to watch it go down. I imagine that's what will happen all over Pomona to our old landmarks unless something is done to preserve them.